Freedom and spirit, freedom and rhythm. The deliciously melismatic playing of Genevieve Lacey. She's playing the tenor.
That is beautiful.
Yeah, extraordinary. Yeah, tenor recorder there and a teleman.
I actually
Fantasia.
do like it back from the mic like that. I think that on second hearing it just suits it beautifully.
Yes, it breathes in the room, doesn't it? Gosh, that music's wonderful. I love hearing solo instrumentalists because I think it's the implied harmonies are there and your brain fills in the gaps and you just experience the purity. It's like having one flavour in its absolute form. It can be really tantalising.
I could just imagine myself in the recital room listening to that. It's just wonderful.
Yes, it'd be like a warm bath. It'd be all-encompassing.
Totally.
It would be incredible.
All around you.
Definitely. So, we did feature quite a bit of Genevieve last night on the missions, and people are interested in having a listen. It's on the log. And we'll probably feature more because it's a sound that really draws, I can speak for both of us, Frank, it really does register, doesn't it?
Yeah, that was lovely. It was better the second hearing.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so much music. Telemann wrote just volumes. In fact, I think he wrote more music than any composer in history, by all accounts.
Right, he did. Allegedly.
That's right, and much of it hasn't been discovered yet. It's it's still coming to the fore in this day and age. It's
written over 1,000 items, I think.
I think so, yeah. Amazing. I think Villa-Lobos is close.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, he wrote a lot as well.
You hear a lot more Telemann.
Yes, you certainly do. Yes, he's had a bit more time for it to percolate
well, that's
into
not to denigrate for old Willie. But,
no, that's right.
He's about the only Brazilian composer I know, apart from the lighter, like Joe Bibb and people like that.
Yeah. He's such a significant figure. Yeah. Oh, all these great composers. Well,
all you seem to hear is the Vasilieros number 5.
I know, that's all. You don't hear the others, and we've actually featured them on this program. Remember, we did a program on them.
We did?
Yeah, on the Brachianus Brasiliaris.
Not that there's anything wrong with Brasilieros number. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, look, it is. But Bach's influence is certainly to the fore in a lot of Villa-Lobos's music, and that series is a very direct testimony, really.
Certainly.
Okay, well, I'm here for a short missions today, Frank.
Okay.
I haven't got long. It's been a busy day. I've been sort of out and about and doing visits and picked up the horn speaker. So,
how is it?
Yeah, it looks okay. It needs a bit of restoration, but it's...
How wide is it? What's the dimension?
I suppose it'd be 12-inch at the flare, but I love industrial design that reflects nature, particularly in that era. And it's got petals, and it'll look amazing once it's restored. It'll need quite a bit of work, really, to
what
make it.
What shape is it?
It looks very much like a flower, like a
lily,
or it's a trumpet. It's a classic, horn, swan neck horn, radio horn from the 20s, 1924. But the flare is wooden. The base, the gooseneck part, swan neck part is metal, is gunmetal, but the flare itself is made out of laminated oak, I suppose. But it's been heat treated, so it sort of flares out. So it's just got this beautiful expression of, it's like a tulip, really.
Lovely. What's it sound like, though?
Well, I don't think they sound terribly good.
Or doesn't that matter?
No, I don't think that's features much.
Okay.
I mean, I will get it going, and I probably will use it. But as Dave's video testifies, horn speakers are really just bandpass filters. That's all they are.
Sure.
But, they are of their time. And,
and also I think they're all right. They're justified in a multi-unit, properly designed multi-unit system.
Oh, look, yes. Oh, look, that's right. Well, it's very much a time and place stamp. The horn speakers went out of favour pretty early on. By 1930, they had developed the Kellogg's cornflake speaker, the Kellogg's cone speaker, and other designs sort of, using cones were far more acceptable to the need. But these are, the horn speakers in the early days are not much more than glorified headphones, really.
Right.
That's all they are. But anyhow, that's should be good. I also quickly ducked into the second vault and picked up a few records. I had to attend to a couple of things there. So We might play one shortly, but I think we need a 20s hit to kick things off.
Of course.
And I've only been home a couple of minutes, so I'll just might need to go and check in on a few things. But what do we have here? It's the Victory Dance Orchestra, Jay Wilbur's group. It's English, and this goes back to about 1930. It's a track called "Lovebirds Are Better Than Bluebirds." Let's have a listen. vk3sl
and vk3jr.
Better than bluebirds, lovebirds are ever the true birds. Love songs they're singing around me, ever since the day they flew around and found me. They say it's time for mating, no time to keep on waiting. Lovebirds are better than bluebirds, for they bring true love to you.
There we go. Just got back in time. That was Lovebirds Are Bluebirds Are Better Than Bluebirds Now. Jay Wilbur and the Victory Dance Orchestra, probably some other group, a scratch group from London in 1930. I think that record features Max Goldberg on trumpet, if I remember correctly. Yeah, so that's our 20s offering to kickstart things. And
was he the guy that did have a very long career?
Yeah, he ended up...
And I think he came to Australia.
Yeah, he did. Look, it's an extraordinary story. Max Goldberg...
I remember him now.
Yeah, he's on just about every 20s dance band hit, especially from Britain. He's on, and he played with the Savoy Orpheans and then with Ambrose and with... just about every pickup group that recorded in London in that time. And then I think he spent some time in America. He was Canadian, and he ended up in Australia, ended up in Melbourne and played in the Channel 9 band.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a number of interviews. In fact, Mr. Ells interviewed him at length, and it's a fascinating figure, and they think he made literally thousands of records in that period.
Interesting character.
Yeah, quite extraordinary.
Pretty good trumpeter as well.
Oh, very good reader, and excellent exponent of the mute. You hear on all those 20s recordings, the trumpet is usually muted, and as all the brass are, it's just the signature sound of that time, and muting the instruments. But he apparently, Chris said, he had a whole cupboard full of mutes in his in the nursing home in his room. He opened up the door and he had the whole cupboard full of mutes.
With different timbres.
Yeah, different timbres, that's right. So, yeah, he was looking for that particular sound. But Max Goldberg is has a strong presence on all those 20s records. Picked up just a handful of 12-inch records from the other vault, and there's a number of records of If's orchestra, IFF. It's a gentleman called Wilhelm If, and he made a number of records around about 1909. These are pretty early. And they're sort of popular shows of the time. And but look, it's a very an excellent group, and it's just fascinating hearing an established, I won't say dance band orchestra, but show band from that period. So Oh, I think I'll play one. This is a record called Dance du Paraguay, and says on the label very proudly on a special gramophone Monarch record from around about 1909, 1910, and it says personally conducted by Herr If, it says.
Yeah, that's good.
It sounds very, very official, doesn't it?
Very official.
So he needed to be given the right sort of treatment. Herr If, I dare say things would have changed very substantially by the time of the First World War. But anyhow, this I think was also made in London around about that time. So put the needle in. It's got a ridge on it, this record, around the edge, but I think we're right to go. Recording going back to 1909.
That's terrific.
It's great music, isn't it? I'm becoming more and more partial to this type of music. It's a timestamp, and that's what
In its time, it's just wonderful. You know, it fits beautifully. It's very German.
Yeah, definitely is. Now, I've got some interesting biographical quips because I noticed that Mr. John Hanna, a Sydney collector, who I've had quite a bit to do with, he's actually put this very record up on YouTube a couple of years ago. I didn't realise that. And he's done some research, and he says that If's orchestra made many recordings from 1890s onwards, starting with Berliner discs, apparently. That's fascinating. And this particular record we just heard dates from the 20th of October 1909. Now, Valentin Wilhelm If, known as Wilhelm If, was born in Hessen, Germany in 1857. So, it's a long time ago, 1857.
That's incredible,
Yeah. He and his brother Louis, born in 1861, came to Britain in 1878, apparently staying for a short time in the Isle of Man. And it talks a little bit about their association there. And by at least 1881, Willem and his family and Louis had settled in Glasgow, where they both taught piano and violin. In the 1880s, they spent a short time in Northern Ireland and then moved back to Glasgow. And by the early 1890s, Willem was found to be conducting military bands, including the band of the Highland Light Infantry.
Oh, well.
Isn't this fascinating? He was
a Scottish military band conducted by a German.
That's exactly it. That's extraordinary stuff. It was a short step from there to forming his own orchestra, which was in operation by at least 1893. In 1895, Willem became naturalised British subject, and Louis, who married around this time, failed to take such a step, which was to cause him problems later. And it says If's orchestra, which was conducted by both Willem and Louis, became enormously popular, playing at concerts, in exclusive clubs, for dances and for other functions, including state balls at Buckingham Palace in 1907 and 1908. And sadly, it says the orchestra didn't survive the anti-German feeling associated with the First World War.
Yeah.
It's really, really sad, isn't it?
It is so.
Yeah, and Wilhelm, who subsequently became William Valentin If, lived in Glasgow until his death in 1933. But Louis survived into the 50s, but had the misfortune to be interned as an enemy alien during the Second World War.
Oh, God.
God, isn't that extraordinary stuff? I mean, it really highlights the tensions and the difficulties about being a national from another country in sensitive times.
Well, that's exactly right. Look at these comedy harmonists. Do you remember that?
Yeah, that's right. They really suffered, didn't they?
They did.
They were marginalised, and yeah, I know. It's funny how prejudice sort of seats itself. I mean, a couple of times I've instantly pulled Russian records off the shelf, and I thought to myself, well, maybe I shouldn't play them because of the present sentiment. But of course, those artists would have nothing to do with this current conflict. It was just
not at all.
Nothing whatsoever. So there's no reason not to. But there's that sort of aura that I just had to think about it. I had to sort of contemplate how may people react at this time. It's
fear of the war and being involved in it and the possible consequences.
Yeah,
and it's just striking out at anything that could possibly be dangerous.
Yeah, indeed. It's
coupled with a natural tendency to racial prejudice anyway.
I think you're right. I think there is a sort of an inbuilt biases that people can have. So, it's an interesting one. Or maybe having sort of given that grand introduction to If's orchestra, maybe I should flip the record and play the other side. We can have a listen to side B. I'll see what's
amazing quality.
A pretty good sound for 1909, isn't it?
Terrific.
It is. Oh, here we go. They're playing the Blue Danube Waltz.
What else?
Oh, this is great stuff. Yeah, but I love it on the label. It says, personally conducted by Herr If, London, 1909. So this goes way back. They're very heavy, these early gramophone Monarch discs. They've got a big lip around the edge.
Yeah, I've seen records like that.
Yeah. I know Jamie can just feel the edge and he can tell you exactly what it is.
He does. It's amazing. I used to have them. They're thick, aren't they?
They're really thick. This record will weigh 3 times the weight of a normal 78.
Yeah.
They're incredible. But, we'll play the Blue Danube now. We'll seat this one on and let's have a listen. There we go. If's Orchestra. What If from 1909, the Blue Danube Waltz, complete with Portamenti abound. It's
Yes, they love to slide
they
around.
like to slide. It's interesting how that's sort of quite out of fashion now, and but
Yeah, it sounds corny, doesn't it?
it sort of does by today's standards. But of course, back then that was the way they did things, and the
I
strings.
don't mind it, actually.
No, I don't mind it at all. I think it's a particular sound, and it's done with a. I'm sort of used to it. I'm conditioned to it because I listen to these records so often, so it doesn't really offend me at all. But there's a. I know
It's
some.
sort of a joke now, isn't it?
Yeah, it can be seen that way. I know someone who did a PhD in the art of Portamenti.
Oh, gee, really?
So we started one. I hope he finished it. So that was, it's good. I was looking for a particular record, and listening to this, and I don't think I can find it. But it's an example of proto jazz, early jazz that popped up online, and I'm just going through my history list now to see if I can find it. It's really, really interesting, and but I'm scrolling, looking for it. This is the great thing about YouTube. Sort of everything you've watched is there. It makes me realise how many hours I've wasted. Here we go. Early British jazz, the Manhattan Jazz. Here we go. Everyone's jazzing now. These are pretty interesting. These are recorded before the ODJB went to London, so it's English music emulating spirited syncopated music as understood.
Round about what
About
time?
1918.
Oh, wow.
So it's pretty early on. The the original Dixieland Jazz Band, did a tour of Britain, I think around 1920-21. So this predates that. So these instrumentalists are sort of channeling something quite, I don't know how they really got their information.
No, I'm just wondering. In the 20s, of course, American musos would go to England and Europe, and they'd be most welcome.
That's right.
They were better treated than they were in their own country.
Yes, so true. Yeah, and so I don't know how the cross-pollination thing happened as easily, before, especially during the period of the First World War.
Possibly through records.
Yeah, quite possibly. Isn't it interesting to think that records were made with the catalyst as early on as this? Potentially,
But that's about all there was.
Yeah, I don't think there'd be any other way, but we'll listen to this. It's early British jazz, the Manhattan Jazz Band, with jazz with two Zs in this case. Often it's Jass, Jass.
Yes, that was how they spelled it.
But we'll have a listen to this recording. I'll just check what the title is. It's Everybody's Jazzin' Now is the name of the track.
Okay.
Let's have a listen. There's a track called Everyone's Jazzin' Now. Now, excuse the hum. That's native to the transfer. It's a poor transfer, unfortunately. They didn't foresee that problem. And but look, sorry, I've got you switched off there.
Yes, I'm back.
I had used the wrong fader. Yeah, so yes, unfortunately,
Pretty fast banjo picker there.
it certainly was, and it has the sort of novelty element. And
Yeah, it did. It sounded like a sort of a carnival sort of.
yeah, very much so, and definitely klezmer influence.
Definite.
You can definitely hear that in the way the clarinet rides, third above the tune, and then also the trombone slides and so on are very evocative of ragtime music at that time.
Yeah,
as well.
fast ragtime.
It is. It's like it's like superheated ragtime, really,
That's
isn't
right.
it? That's the character of it. So they're considered to be very important. These records. They made about half a dozen records in 1918, 1919 in Britain. And I was just reading, I think they may have been American musicians who came over. So this warrants further investigation. Now, I'll play another one. I did play this a couple of weeks ago, but I'd like to follow on with this because it's of the same ilk. And there's a track called The Mad Jazz Razz.
Okay.
1919. And the Manhattan Jazz Band. This one was put up by Jonathan Hynes, but it's really striking stuff. It's very similar to what the original Dixieland Jazz Band were doing, but what's more significant is the fact that it was recorded before they did their renowned world tour a bit later on. So let's have a listen. VK3SL. As the Manhattan Jazz Band, recorded in London in 1919. Crossover music, crossing over from ragtime to syncopated music. Really, it's that frontier and fascinating stuff. If only Creole bands had recorded at that time, we may have had a very different take on the evolution of things. I think it's well established that their influence was strong, but we just don't have any recordings.
No, it's very strong through the marching bands and that sort of thing.
Yes, definitely. But that in between music, that proto jazz, is something that's just of constant interest, and it's fascinating, isn't it? It's really very much a military band on steroids. It's been given
you can hear the tuba, you know.
That's right. Yes, it's been given that extra lift, and sort of offset slightly with a bit of ragtime influence.
Oh no, it was very good.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. So yeah, all right. Well, I was just sifting through, and Get Your Boots On, Papa, I think is the name of the song.
Look, very interesting evolution of that
Right.
stuff. And just on a technical issue, have you got a digital processor in any of your paths?
I don't think so.
Because when I'm listening on UHF and 160, there's like a few microseconds delay, that sort of echo effect.
Oh,
like
God.
one of your things, not this, it's quite interesting, makes it sound pseudo stereo, but one slightly delayed than the other.
Oh, that shouldn't be happening.
So you're getting a phasing thing.
Yeah, there must be some bleed through somewhere here.
Look, I wouldn't worry about it. Who's doing it, listening to them both at the one time? And it just adds, it's not 100% in sync. But I mean, like, it's not, it just sounds like slight reverb actually adds to it, so I wouldn't worry about it. Just interested, that's all.
It is interesting. It's not conscious. It's I've got a
like you might have a limiter or something in one and not in the other, or it's different paths.
Yes, they are. They're certainly different paths. I've got different processing, but I don't have a digital processor as such.
Right, there might be some digital delay in one of them or something.
Yeah, there's some other delay. I wonder what's going on. Yeah, that's an interesting one.
You can have a listen later on, but no, just interested out of interest of no practical.
No, fair enough. Thank you for that. No, it's something to be aware of. I just can't quite get my mind around exactly what's happening here, but there could be some feed through. There could be something untoward.
You get latency between receiving Dave direct and receiving him through you, but I guess that's to be expected.
There shouldn't be. So you're getting a bit of delay between me on direct and on 160.
Yep, about, I don't know, it's very noticeable. It's I reckon about a 20th of a second.
Oh.
Yeah, that's interesting because this is just an old analog 2-meter rig. There's nothing digital about it. And I'm listening off the AM3, so that's interesting. There's not that it matters, but just
I wonder what's going on. There's certainly no digital delay in the path. I've got the digital processor on, but it's not registered. I can turn it off completely. There we go. It's off now. That's the processor I use for 78s. I can't understand how that would in any
even
way.
if it's off, it might still be going through it, but the processing's turned off.
Yes,
the
there could
might still have some.
Yeah, it definitely is a digital interface, obviously, for the stream, but no processing is digital here. That's an interesting one. Okay, well, it's good to be alerted to these things.
Yeah, well, I'll let you get back to the music.
Yes, it's going to be a short program. I've only got about another 15 before I have to take my leave.
But get back to it, then we'll have all the boring technical details.
Oh, yes.
You probably lost all your...
Oh, yes.
Well, Frank's the listener. I haven't lost him, so you haven't lost any listeners. That's okay.
Okay.
That's right.
It's all of the incidentals. Now, we have a Woody Herman record, I think, and I think it's called Get Your Boots... What is it? Get Your Boots Laced, Papa, I think it's called. I think I might have played this before, but the title does intrigue me, so we'll hear it again. This is jumping ahead about 3 decades. vk3. I've turned the processor off. Let's switch it back on. Here we go, in the groove.
Don't be a square from Delaware.
Get your boots laced, Papa. Get your boots laced, Papa. Get your boots laced, Papa.
Don't be a goon from Saskatoon.
Get your boots laced, Papa. Get your boots laced, Papa. Get your boots laced, Papa.
Don't be an egg from Battle Creek.
Get your boots laced, Papa.
and I'll flip the disc. There was Woody Herman and the band from probably the late 1940s, pretty late I think. But some good jive music there, two sides to that record. Name of the track is Get Your Boots Laced, Papa, is the name of it. So, yeah, Woody Herman and his orchestra with vocal ensemble on an old Decca 78.
Is that what he's singing?
I think it might have been. It says...
He hasn't got a bad voice.
He's not bad. It says with the vocal ensemble. I presume... I know he does sing on some of those. Yeah, it sounded like it could have been. But that's great, that record. I'll put that in the back on the shelf in the right spot. What else? From the same pile, we have a Lionel Hampton. Oh, here we go. Here's a take on Ring Them Bells, the Duke Ellington song. This is a great track. And featuring some vibraphonics with Mr. Hampton himself, I reckon.
Oh, excellent.
This will be good. This is probably late 1930s. I think it's pre-war, EA 2565. Yep, so that would have to be about 1938, 1939. So it certainly deserves to be listened to, vk3sl.
Stacy, ring them bells. Oh boy, the music's swell. If you like it, just lift up your head and yell. Oh, mister, ring them bells. Toot, 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 toot. Toot-toot-la-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. No, don't do the thing. Run it up, 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 run it up. Oh, mister, ring them bells.
Lionel Hampton in full flight and playing a Ellington classic, Ring Them Bells. Gosh, those Australian laminated pressings sound good. They sound really good. If you get a record in the right condition with the right stylus profile, 78s can sound really amazing. So, was really enjoying that one with the volume turned up.
Excellent.
Yeah, great record, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
They're just on fire. He was such a consummate performer, Mr. Hampton.
He was a good drummer too, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's it. So
he lived to be a big age.
Yeah, he only died in the last decade, I think, didn't he? Or
I think he was in the 90s.
Yeah, amazing. Received a note from Mr. Fleming, and he was listening last night. And,
hey, good evening, Mr. Fleming.
Yeah, and sent me a link to a photo of the Pan recorder from the Powerhouse collection. So we were talking last night about Fred Morgan.
And that recorder. I was thinking of a reproducing instrument.
Yes. No, it's not a Biomatic. It's a recorder, a vertical flute or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
This is from the company Pan, who are established by Aidan Runsborough and Don Roberts.
It's a good name for a recorder, isn't it?
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think that was the type of instrument. Was that the type of instrument that you were describing that you played last night?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So it was a Pan or was it a Dolmetsch?
The Dolmetsch.
Dolmetsch, yeah, okay. Sure. So anyhow, it's good to have a bit of value-added information here on the recorder.
Very much so. I presume he made a whole range of sizes, made a whole consort, did he, Fred?
I expect so. You typically see the sopranino, which is the really little one, and then treble, and then alto, which is...
Oh, well, there's a descant in between.
Yeah, the descant is the sort of sopranino. Yeah, that's right. Descant is the standard one, isn't it?
Yep, it's the one just below the sopranino.
Yeah, sopranino.
That's the one that
really small.
school kids get.
Yeah, that's right. And then you have the alto, your tenor recorder, which I think was the tenor we heard at the beginning of the program, and then the bass, which I used to play the bass recorder, my primary school.
Oh, wow, that would have taken a fair bit of breath to do that.
Yeah, you have to really, it's quite hard to play.
I would imagine so.
And I had to stand on the platform because it was really big. It's like a bassoon, really.
I always wanted to try the treble because it would have been a lot more expressive, I think.
Yeah, sure, yeah. And that's right. Well, they've all got their particular qualities, but I was fortunate to be at a primary school where they had a recorder consort. So
yeah, I know.
And that was a good experience. But I played the bass recorder, which I suppose makes sense considering I played a bass instrument.
I have a recording of the Art of Fugue played on a recorder consort.
Oh, gee, that'd be great.
It is amazing.
Oh, can you hallmark that one?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, because I'd really like to follow on with that.
It's a Dutch group.
Oh, that'd be great to hear. The Art of Fugue would just sound so good. There's, I think I've got fretwork playing it on lutes.
Yes, on the proper strings.
Yes, that's right. And of course, it was originally written for cembalo or keyboard. So, maybe we'll do a special on the Art of Fugue and hear it in its many incarnations. That'd be great. Yay. All right, it's getting to the top of the clock. Unfortunately, I'm going out shortly. And
have a good time.
Should be good. So I'm going to wind up with something special, which turned up as well. Here's a recording of Peggy Lee from 1962. It's actually a video performance, and I refer it to people. It's quite fun. And she's got so much verve, shall we say?
I'm very fond of Peggy Lee.
Yeah, and she just sings this with such character. It's really enticing, and I think the track needs absolutely no introduction. So we'll wind with this, and I should be back tomorrow. I don't think there's anything happening tomorrow afternoon, so we'll crank up the gramophone again.
Sounds good.
Alrighty, so thanks folks for listening. Thank you, Frank. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
And we'll say our cheers until tomorrow to the tones of Peggy Lee. This is vk3sl saying bye for now.
3 jar, closing down.
Get a fever that's so hard to bear. You give me fever when you kiss me, a fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning, fever all through the night. Sun lights up the daytime, moon lights up the night. I light up when you call my name. You know I'm gonna treat you right. You give me fever when you kiss me, fever when you hold me tight. Fever in the morning, fever all through the night. Everybody's got the fever, that is something you all know. Fever isn't such a new thing, fever started long ago. Romeo loved Juliet, Juliet, she felt the same. When he put his arms around her, he said, Julie, baby, you're my flame, thou giveth fever. When we kisseth, a fever with thy flaming youth. Fever, I'm a fire, fever, yea, I burn forsooth. Captain Smith, Pocahontas, had a very mad affair. When her daddy tried to kill him, she said, Daddy, oh, don't you dare, he gives me fever. With his kisses, a fever when he holds me tight. Fever, I'm his missus, Daddy, won't you treat him right? Now you've listened to my story, here's the point that I have made. Chicks were born to give you fever, be it Fahrenheit or centigrade, they give you fever. When you kiss them, fever, if you live, you'll learn. Fever, till you sizzle, what a lovely way to burn. What a lovely way to burn. What a lovely way to burn.